Happy Mother's Day to all moms. Today, we're going to take a break from our study of the spiritual warfare and the defenses God gives us to live the victorious life. We're going to take a look at Mother's Day from a slightly different point of view, perspective. That is best described with the word anthropomorphism. What is that? It comes from the Greek word anthropos, which means human, anthropology, the study of humanity, right? And morphing, it's changing to form into. Until the 19th century, whenever humankind talked about deities and God himself, in order to understand them better, they would attribute human-like characteristics to deities. And today, since the 19th century, today it's being applied to so many different things. Maybe you watched cartoons, Paw Patrol, Peppa Pig. Those of you who are familiar with these things, right? Bluey. These are all different animals with human attributes, feelings, emotions, abilities, capacities, and such. In the scriptures, God is presented to us as a loving father. But do you know that there are occasions where God is presented to us as a mother? Did you know that? Is this surprising to you? No. God created man and woman in his likeness. In the image of God we were created. But man in himself is not complete. A woman in herself is not complete. Together, that's why we're told man and woman, when they come together, they make one complete person. So, when God created man and woman, he created them differently, with different attributes. I can give you an example. For instance, if one of the kids comes into the living room crying, and I'm sitting there, my first reaction or question would be this: what happened? Are you hurt? Who did it? What did you do? And then I would go into, depending on the situation, a lengthy or short dissertation on what he or she should do in the future to not to make these things happen again. That would be my approach as a father. But the same scenario, if one of the kids come crying and my wife is there, this is her approach. Oh, baby. Okay. You see the difference? Two different approaches. Both valid, both correct. But at the same time, both necessary. So with God's attributes as a mom, we are also reminded of his attributes that are necessary for us. I have a few verses I want to share with you. The first one was when I mentioned God created man and woman in his image, but he created them distinctly separate. I understand today there is a controversy who a man is, or who a woman is, or who can even give birth, per se. But let's put away all that nonsense and stick to the basics. First verse I want to share with you is from Isaiah. 66, verse 13. As one whom his mother comforts, so I will comfort you. You shall be comforted in Jerusalem, God said through Isaiah. God offers comfort. Best way to understand this is from a mother's point of view. When we need comforting, we all do. We have loss in our lives. We have tragedies that happen. It doesn't have to be tragic. It could be just a bad day or a bad series of events. Something that just brings us down. We don't go to our dads, we go to our moms for comfort. And in the same way, God is there for us to comfort us. I realize not all moms are the same. There are different temperaments, different characteristics, different backgrounds. Everybody has a certain level of dysfunction they bring into the picture. And I get it. There are exceptions. Right? But overall, moms are the ones we go to for comfort. The idea of comfort food comes from mom's cooking. You go back to foods that make you feel like a child again when your mom cooks something. So with those earthly references, I want to bring you to a higher plane if I can. When you are going through the nonsense of life, be mindful that God is there to comfort you. But how do we get there? It takes practice. Just knowing alone God is there is not enough. When you're confronted in a situation, when you're going through the stuff, we have to practice as to how to bring this to the Lord so that we can get that comfort from Him. He's there. Second verse I want to share with you is Isaiah 49, verse 15. Can a woman forget her nursing child, that she should have no compassion on her son of her womb? Even these may forget, I will not forget you. Now this is God speaking to His children. This is God speaking to believers. He's saying, picture a nursing mom. You have a newborn, 2 months old, whatever the case might be. You know, any mom's life revolves around that newly born child. It's as though her own life doesn't exist. It's all about that child's feeding, sleeping, changing, breathing, or whatever it is. In the same way, God likens Himself towards us like that child, that mom. He's saying that even if that sounds like an impossibility, that mom who's nursing that baby might forget that child. Even that was to happen, I will never forget you, He says. A lot of times we do feel like God has forgotten us. We might have issues that we're going through, we're dealing with. We feel like God is quiet or distant or doesn't care or indifferent. Remember this verse. He hasn't forgotten you. He knows exactly where you are. He knows exactly what you're going through. He knows exactly what you're praying for. He knows exactly what you're waiting for. He knows exactly what you're trying to achieve. He hasn't forgotten you. Just do things His way, and He will do it in His timing. He cannot forget us. He will not forget us. It's an impossibility. Just like that mom cannot forget that newly born in her arms, God will never forget us. Another verse I want to share with you is from Matthew. This is Jesus. Matthew 23:37. Right as He's entering Jerusalem, right before He's arrested and crucified. He looks from a vantage point of the entrance to the city. He sees the whole city, the temple, the people, the houses, the animals, and the sounds and the smells and the dust and the dirt and the screams or whatever is happening. He looks at the whole thing. And he starts crying. Don't forget, Jesus said, if you see me, you're seeing the Father. You're seeing what God the Father is thinking or feeling through Jesus in that moment. What did he say? Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophet and stones those who are sent to it. Looks at the city, looks at the people, and remembers how ungrateful they are. Instead of getting angry, he feels bad for them. He feels sad for them, just like a mother would. And he continues and says, how often would I have gathered your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, but you were not willing. Crying there, he says, like a mother hen protects and gathers all her chicks under her wings. Protects them from danger. Protects them from getting lost. Protects them from being killed by a wild animal or falling off a cliff or all kinds of danger. And nourishes them and feeds them and cares for them. How often I wanted to do this, but you didn't let me. And he cries. Those of you who are moms, you have kids that are over a certain age, they think they know better than you. They don't think your life experience is valid. They don't think you know enough. Some of them don't think that you are hip enough or in touch or connected enough. And they just push you away. And they do their own thing. And as a mom, there is nothing you can do but cry. Just like God does towards us. Because you know they're about to make a mess of their lives. You know they're going to throw something away that they cannot get back. You know they're going to be hurt. You've seen this movie so many times, in so many different lives. But your own child is going down the same path, and there is nothing you could do. In the same way, God feels towards us, that very feeling, that notion, that knowing what's going to happen. He gives us freedom to choose. And we choose our own way rather than his. And he knows how it's going to end. It's not going to end well. It's going to be tears. It's going to be loss. It's going to be pain. But yet, we resist him. So in the same way, God approaches us with understanding. But at the same time, with that compassion comes a warning. Hey, I want to gather you under my wings. Do things my way. So that like a mom, I can protect you. I know what's best for you. Another verse is from Hosea 13, verse 8. Now the context over here is a little delicate, but the message is the same. The context is this. God is upset at Israel because they started worshiping idols. And they put him aside, and they're just living like the world and worshiping idols and not caring for him or worshiping him. So God uses this picture to show his disappointment and what's about to come to them, his anger towards them. He says, I will fall upon them like a bear robbed of her cubs. It's been said the most dangerous animal on the face of the earth is a mama bear whose cubs have been taken from her. That is the most ferocious animal. If a bear, a mother bear, lost her cubs, and if you're anywhere in the vicinity, you're better than dead. In the same way, you see, God has given even this animal, this motherly instinct of protection. You will do many things to protect your children that you wouldn't do for yourself. Many sacrifices, you would go to so many lands. You would do so many things that you would not do for yourself, for your children. And God uses that picture, the ferociousness of that animal, to illustrate to us how He's feeling towards our protection. What He would do to protect us. And that also shows His commitment and His love to us. And the last thing I want to share with you is Psalm 131:2. But I have calmed and quieted my soul like a weaned child with his mother. Like a weaned child is my soul within me. This is David. After going through a calamity, he makes peace with the Lord. He surrenders to Him. A weaned child is the child that has gotten off mother's milk, moved on to solid food. So there's a certain level of maturity, certain level of growing up, certain level of not losing yourself in some kind of, like a crying frenzy. Baby, when they need milk, what happens? They start screaming and crying. But a child who's weaned, who can eat solid food, when it's time, they will sit down and eat their food or ask for food, etc. See, in our life, God weans us off. In the beginning, when we're first believers, we're desperate, we're emotional, we're screaming and yelling in spiritual sense. Right? But as a level of maturity comes in, we surrendered. We calm down. We trust Him because He's weaned us off. This has to start with us surrendering to Him. Not frantically trying to do our own things, but like a weaned child. How did He put it? I have calmed and quieted my soul, who's weaned from her mom or his mom. As we grow in our faith, our soul needs to calm and quiet. That quiet trust in the Lord, that quiet trust in His love, that quiet trust in His protection, that quiet, surrendered trust in doing things His way. That's the sign of maturity. In the beginning of our walk, we're frantic, we're emotional, we're passionate, we're dogmatic, and we go crazy on the inside, not outside, not physically. But as we grow, we tend to balance. More we surrender, more we see Him active in our life, calmly, assuredly doing things His way, trusting Him. Just like you trust your mom. Because our moms offer us comfort. And above and beyond that, our God offers us comfort, certainty, assurance, love, protection. God bless all the moms. And God bless you guys all as you go after God's comfort in your life.